And a big Tuesday to you. Welcome into lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, as we broadcast daily, Tuesday through Friday at 11:30 to help keep you connected while everybody is where they are during the coronavirus pandemic. Whether you're across the country, across the world, we want to make sure that you have a chance to stay connected with student athletes, coaches, folks from the Lewis and Clark community and also alumni. And we try to do that as well as we can. 20 minutes, 25, keep you connected with Lewis and Clark, Palatine Hill, and doing so Tuesday through Friday at 11:30. So we welcome you. And I am Ryan Goff. I am the play-by-play voice for Lewis and Clark Athletics, Director of Athletic Communications, Lewis and Clark College. We are in Portland, Oregon. We are an NCAA Division III institution competing in the Northwest Conference against other institutions from Northwest Oregon throughout the state of Washington, and then with the Division III experience. I mean, we're on the heels of Division III week. Last week celebrated all week with the NCAA, talking about over 430 institutions nationwide, and with that, the opportunity to compete on a national scale, opportunity to compete in all the NCAA championships, and then also with Lewis and Clark's robust overseas study program, an opportunity to also allow people to travel the world and a lot of great opportunities with overseas study. That's something that we'll continue to talk about with our student athletes, coaches, and guests that we have on with lcpioneers.com live. So we do invite you to get in touch with the show. Today we're going to talk to Kess Moulton. She is a sophomore with Lewis and Clark Rowing. They are in their second year with the Pioneers and an outstanding first year. They did an outstanding job shifting into the rowing program. In fact, we'll talk to them about the path taken to become a member of the rowing program and then success in the first year for Kess, and also describe the team culture around Pio's crew because it is one of those sports that I feel like creates one of the strongest bonds of any of the programs that we have at Lewis and Clark. And we'll talk about that, talk about the coaches and how that plays into the success that they have as well. So excited to talk to Kess coming up in just a moment, but invite you to get connected to LC Pioneers on Twitter and Instagram in the Facebook Live comments below, and also sports at lclark.edu. Let's start off by talking about some of the things that are going on with Lewis and Clark Athletics. We discussed some of the new minors that have been introduced and approved by the faculty at Lewis and Clark with entrepreneurship and innovation leadership, and also with the health studies minor that was just approved. Also, if you go to lcpioneers.com/YLC, you have the opportunity to take a virtual visit. Coach Matthew Barreau from Lewis and Clark Cross Country, Coach Emily Hayes from volleyball did a great job of helping us get set up with a time-lapse campus tour. So maybe you were planning late April, early May to come to Portland and check out our campus. And now with the coronavirus pandemic, you're not able to take that opportunity. We want to supply it to you virtually. And while there is a 90-minute full Facebook Live replay available on the cross country track and field page, that's facebook.com/LCPiosXCTF. The 6-minute time lapse is really cool because they also did
years. I was so comfortable learning and growing here.
There's no ostentation, there's no pretension, no status. Everyone's just here to learn.
To this bustling metropolitan area.
The overseas program is giving you the opportunity to explore the world, go to places that you never thought of. Just come here, just visit the school, and you're gonna fall in love with it.
It's time to explore Lewis and Clark.
All right, welcome back, lcpioneers.com live. Looks like we have our connection back. So let's get right to our guest. We're talking to Pioneers crew sophomore Kess Moulton joining us on lcpioneers.com live, our first guest of the week. And I believe, Kess, coming to us all the way from Vermont. Is that correct?
Well, actually, I am from Vermont, but I'm currently in San Diego with my partner and her family, so I'm very lucky to be still on the West Coast taking classes in the same time zone.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you don't have to get up 3 hours earlier or worry about finding something to do, I guess. Better said, until your classes catch up to you. What's San Diego
Exactly.
like? I mean, I've never been down there. Is it a pretty cool part of the country?
It's been wonderful. Yes, it's very warm. It's been sunny. I had class outside this morning. I can't complain. It's been such a lovely time down here.
Well, we're excited to finally have a chance to catch up to you and talk to you about Lewis and Clark rowing because, as we've described with some of our other student athletes who compete in spring sports, the coronavirus pandemic, cancellation of all of the spring competition, and unfortunately for rowing, it meant the complete removal of the season, which I want to get your perspective on in just a moment because I imagine just how tough that is. But first, in your sophomore season with the Pioneers, describe kind of your path and how you got to be a member of the rowing program.
So I came into college knowing I wanted to be a student athlete, and I had played soccer my entire life. So I started out with the soccer team. I tried out, and I unfortunately pulled my hamstring within the first few days of um, tryouts, so I couldn't continue with that, and so I didn't make the team. My parents were rowers. They were both rowers in college, and so that was always something that had been an option for me. Rowing is one of those incredible sports that you can start when you get to college, and that's super unique about it. And so I was like, okay, I'll try out rowing, and it turned out to be the best decision of my college career, I think, because the love and acceptance and support I found on the rowing team has been like no other, and I've just had such a fun time. I fell in love with the sport as soon as I got on the water, and have not stopped loving it since.
They are Kess Moulton, sophomore for Lewis and Clark Rowing, joining us on lcpioneers.com live. And you kind of allude to that culture and how much of a positive experience that the rowing program has been for you. What is it about the team culture for Pio's crew that really stands out to you and makes it what it is?
Well, I think it comes a lot from not only the team itself, but from the coaches as well. The coaches, Sam Taylor and Claudia Lober and Alexia Ingerson and Natalie Stroud, they provide this support and this base that really just um, brings us all together and makes us want to love each other as much as we love the sport. And so their support for us allows us to not worry about, oh, the coaches are going to favor this person because they're the fastest. No, they pay as much attention to everybody, and they give as much love and support to everybody as anybody on the team. And so that's just such a wonderful resource that we have. And I think the kind of people that rowing draws to it draws really motivated, really passionate people who want to do a good job and want to commit to the sport. And so I think that rowing is just really special in that way. Well, I love Lewis and Clark, but I love Lewis and Clark because of what I'm able to do there. And I am not only a student athlete, but I'm also a musician. I am a singer. And so, that the coaches have been super supportive in me also being a singer on campus, being in the choirs. And when and of course, because it's D3, the coaches always put academics first. And so when this pandemic started, the coaches said, okay, well, we we can't we can't be in person coaching you anymore, and we can't offer office hours for you to come talk to us. But they've always had their Slack channels open, so we can ask them whenever we want, whatever we want, and each of the members on the team has like a personal coach. There's each coach has a group of people, and every week they check in with us and ask us what's going on for the week. What are we looking forward to? What do we have for assignments? And so even though they're not able to provide that in-person support, they're always on top. They're always on top of everything, so they can help us rise to the level that they know we can in academics and in rowing.
Kess Moulton joining us on lcpioneers.com live Tuesday through Friday at 11:30, lcpioneers.com/live if you want to watch us live with the shows, or also catch up on our archives, which are available youtube.com/lcpios as well. So we talked about this right on the top. I said, hey, are you in Vermont currently right now in San Diego? But I'm curious, from Vermont, what brought you to Lewis and Clark in the first place?
I That's a really good question. There's a lot of reasons. I love Vermont a lot, but I wanted to explore other parts of the country, and because unlike some people from Vermont who want to get away and want to go to the warmest place possible, I really like the climate, and so I wanted to go somewhere where it was like-minded, and also the weather and the climate was pretty much the same, but also get to the other side of the country. And so I looked a lot in Oregon and Washington, and then I actually fell in love with Portland, the city itself. Um, I was on a gap year when I was making my decision for college, and I flew back from New Zealand to Portland, Oregon to be able to tour some colleges in Portland. And as soon as I got onto the Lewis and Clark campus, I immediately knew that it was the place for me. The scenery and the coaches and the teachers and the administration that I met were absolutely wonderful. And I couldn't imagine myself any other place. And so it was the fact that it was a D3 school, which meant that I could focus on my academics, which are really important to me, but also be a college athlete and also continue my singing. Those three things were so incredibly important to me to do all at once. And I really couldn't do college without my extracurricular activities. And so being at a D3 school and a small liberal arts school really meant a lot to me. I also didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in, and so I wasn't able to go to a specific school. I'm an art major now, so I technically could have gone to an art school, but I wasn't ready to make that choice when I came into Lewis and Clark. And I'm so thankful for all the psychology and sociology, anthropology, and other classes that I've taken that aren't in the art major. Because it's made me a well-rounded person, and as much as I love art, I still wouldn't have chosen an art school.
You and the rowing team unfortunately lost your entire schedule of competition. In fact, I want to say that right at the announcement of the postponement of the Northwest Conference competition was the weekend that you were going to have your first, I think it was the Lager Invitational, your first competition. So I guess walk us through the moment when you found out that you weren't going to get to compete that weekend, and what the loss of the whole season, how that's impacted the team.
Yeah, so that was a really hard moment. I don't know if I'll forget that for the rest of my life because it was so incredibly emotional and heartbreaking. Earlier that day, it was a Thursday, I think, and we had found out that classes were going online, and so we knew that the classes were going to be in person for the rest of the week, for the Thursday afternoon and Friday. But it was so it was like, oh, maybe crew won't get canceled because we don't actually touch each other when we row. And we were just like, I was talking to my other teammates, and we were just trying to find a way, a solution, that the season wouldn't have to get canceled. And we said, nobody comes to our events anyway. Nobody, because they're all so far away. We don't have big crowds like football does. What if we could still just row? And then my coach Sam, he sent out a message and was like, okay team, we're gonna, instead of going down to the water today, we're gonna meet by the erg room around 3:30. And I was just dreading that all day. And so then we got there and we were all there, and it was a very somber moment. Nobody, most people were like just standing there and kind of reflecting, maybe chatting with their friends. Usually we're a very lively group where we're joking around, but we kind of knew it was coming. And as soon as Sam said the words, I looked at Claudia, the assistant coach, and we just started crying. Tears just started falling down her face because for us and for the rest of the team, rowing just means so much to us. It's such a good release for us that losing the season was just such a loss to our lives in general. And it was a really, really hard moment, and we all just stood there, and like nobody wanted to leave, and we knew that we had to get on with our lives, but it was just such a heartbreaking moment. And right before our first regatta of the season too, for the novices, the first year rowers, I mean, they didn't even get to race this year. I had the pleasure of going to the NWC championships, and we're our last year, and I'm just so hope that everyone comes back next year and we still get lots of new novices, because it's such a wonderful sport and such a wonderful experience.
Kess Moulton, sophomore from women's rowing on lcpioneers.com live. One of the things we've been trying to recreate with the show is to have people on at moments that in the calendar would have been super impactful. And as you mentioned, last weekend was the Northwest Conference Championships for the women's team, Rainier Cup for the men's team. And then this next weekend was supposed to be WERA Championships, which is the event for rowing, intercollegiate rowing. What is that event like for someone who's never attended, and why is it such a big deal?
So we drive down in a bus from Portland to Sacramento, which is about 11 hours. And I must say that's a hard trip, but it's all worth it. As soon we pull up on the bus on the Friday before the racing starts, and we get there and you get out of the bus and it's just hot. We've just come from Portland, Oregon, which even in April is still has its chilly moments, and it's just hot, and you just immediately get this sense of energy. And it's for rowers, we nerd out about boats. We love boats, and so there's boats everywhere. There's different brands of boats, and different sizes of boats, and different oars, and all these teams, and all these rowers and athletes, and just it's such a little ball of energy that's so contagious. And you get out and you're like, I can't wait to unload and rig the boats. And then you're just willing to do anything, because you're like, I'm here, I've made it, all the training is worth it, all those hard regattas that you raced in the rain and the cold, and you were shivering and eating your fruit snacks after, it was worth it, because now you're ready to race in this big championship. And it's just such a bonding moment for all the rowers, because we all get there, and no matter what happens in your race, you're all there for each other. And so last year, and I'm not sure about all the years because I've only been once, but last year we had a tent. Our tent was right near the finish line, and so it was perfect, because you could the course. And so every single time, unless you were yourself racing or about to get on the water to race, everybody would go down to the edge and just with cowbells and pom-poms, just shout and scream. And when you're on the water, you can't really hear, because you're pulling so hard, you're trying to go so fast that you can't really hear the cheering. But when you get past to the almost to the finish, and you hear that sound wave, just like energy just flows through you, and you're like, I can do this, I can finish, I can keep destroying my body, because I want to, so I can row hard for my team. And it's such a wonderful, it's so amazing, because as soon as you get off the water, everyone's there to help you and to get you out of the water, and carry your oars back for you, and just congratulate you and pat you on the back and say you did an awesome job. And it's just one of the best moments in the season, and because you're working for it all year long. So it's really a cumulative moment that's really important and impactful.
Well, we're certainly disappointed for you that you did not get to have that season. Grace Faulkner, who is the lone women's rowing senior, spring sports have been granted an eligibility waiver for the NCAA. I don't know if she'll be coming back, but either way, we'll continue to honor all of the spring seniors throughout the course of the next couple weeks, leading to what would have been our Excellence in Lewis and Clark's Year of Sports Awards, the LCs. That would have been a week from Wow, this upcoming Thursday, as I look at the calendar, we'll celebrate those now the first week of May. But Kess, thank you so much for coming on lcpioneers.com live. I want to close with this because I heard you mention it numerous times. Music. What are some of the things that you're active in that kind of keeps you active in that realm? Because we talked so much about rowing, but I mean, it sounds like you're very passionate about the music side too.
Yes, so I am in the college choir Capella Nova, which is led by Kathy Fitzgibbon, and I could rave about Capella Nova for as long as I've raved about rowing. It's just such an inclusive and accepting and fantastic experience. It's on Mondays and Wednesdays in the afternoons, and so I miss practice. I miss rowing practice for Capella rehearsal. Which I think shows how much capella means to me, because rowing, you can tell that rowing means a lot to me. And so I've worked out with the coaches and also with my director how to navigate being a singer and a rower. Um, and so it's just one of those, singing is one of those experiences that I've sung all my life. And so it was just not a non-negotiable when I got to college. And so it's just been it's Kathy is one of the best people I know, and she just makes everything more positive in our lives. And so last year, actually, after so Wira goes on for 2 days, on Saturday and Sunday, and last year, and it would have been this year as well. Our final concert for the music department is on Sunday afternoon. In Sacramento, and Sam and I talked about it, and he department, so I could fly back from Sacramento to Portland in order to make it to my concert that night. Which was a wild experience to be in California.
It's a shame that we're losing your audio a little bit, Kess, in that story, because it sounds like you're telling us about flying back from Sacramento on the heels of
The
Wira,
D3 experience.
and so it sounds like I can't get your connection back, which which is a disappointment
Can you hear
because
me?
yeah, I can hear you a little bit now. You were saying so coming back from Sacramento, you got to fly back for that final concert.
Yes, and how that I think that describes me as a person, being a student athlete and also a student musician, but then also the D3 experience, because it like being in a D3 school, it just allows me to do everything that I love so dearly.
Well, again, I mean, I could talk to you for well more than 25 minutes. Your passion comes out for everything that you're doing. I appreciate you continuing to spread that passion about the rowing program because I don't think a lot of people understand the sport as well as we need to make sure it's conveyed. So having you on this show and being able to talk about it, and what I love about the rowing program at Lewis and Clark is while we're not on campus, we are pretty conveniently located just on the other side of the river over the Selwood Bridge. It's not hard to get to. We don't have to practice, say, the Vancouver Lake, for example. It's a beautiful setting, and I think more and more people that we can get out to show your practices and then eventually competitions too. And Sam has long implored me to go to Wira, which I plan to do when hopefully things get back to normal sooner than later. So your upperclassmen years are ahead of you. Thank you for sharing some of that today on lcpioneers.com live.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
That's Kess Moulton joining us and wraps up our first show of the week. Connections. We're trying. She did her best. We held on the entire time until the very end when she's telling us that great story about flying back from Sacramento. We did link below, though, to Capella Nova and some of the other choir groups offered at Lewis and Clark to make sure that you know about those because, I mean, I think Kess put it in great perspective. I mean, that's the idea of that holistic experience that NCAA Division III offers. A school like Lewis and Clark excels at providing. And then she was able to share that anecdote. And I apologize for the connection issues, but we're doing the best we can as we hold this thing together through everyone being remote. And we'll have more guests coming up tomorrow and throughout the course of the week. We are live on lcpioneers.com/live, Tuesday through Friday at 11:30. Kess joins us today. Tomorrow we'll have the head coach of Lewis and Clark Track and Field, Aaron Campbell. He has two unique things I want to bring up for sure. Aaron was the interim coach, so he really was serving in his first full year this season. And then, of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, the spring season gets cut short, but there was a pretty ample indoor season, so I do want to talk to him about that. But also, he's now in his final week of classes as a graduate student at Lewis and Clark, so we want to get some understanding of the challenge that he's had taking over a program as interim head coach, being a graduate student, and all the things that the Lewis and Clark Graduate School has provided him. Jason Luno, alumnus from men's basketball on Thursday. Angela Gintz, who is the director of the Inclusion and Multicultural Engagement Department at Lewis and Clark, will join us on Thursday. So until we talk to you then, I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks for having fun with us. We're making it work, and we appreciate it. We'll have the full interview with Kess and all of our past shows available at lcpioneers.com/live and on youtube.com/lcpio. So until we talk to you again tomorrow at 11:30, we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody, on lcpioneers.com live.
I think everyone should take intro to chemistry because the chemistry department here is phenomenal. Everyone I've known has had a good experience with everyone in that department, so I think it's a worthwhile course to take.
What is one class that everyone should take at Lewis and Clark? I really enjoyed Education in a Complex World. You kind of get to discuss all the issues that exist within education today, and you get to kind of explore that by going to classrooms firsthand and volunteering with children, which I thought was a really wonderful experience.
One class that everybody should take at Lewis and Clark is anything with Kundai Trundo. I think he definitely changed how I thought about rhetoric and media studies and just education in general.
For me, it was international affairs, just intro to international affairs, because I think it really gives a good perspective on important issues around the world.